All right, everybody. We have some good topics for you today. We are going to get into new construction in a moment, some information surrounding that topic. We are also going to get into a few other topics that are a bit more mindset related, more specifically procrastination, doing the work, getting through the training, and really setting out to do what you or accomplishing what you set out to do in the first place. Something that sounds easy enough, but many times it's an obstacle or a big obstacle for our students. So definitely some good stuff. Christopher, I saw you just joined us. I know you had a topic of new construction today you wanted to discuss. Are you ready to hit that topic, or you want me to circle back around to you?
Give me a second.
You got it. You got it. So I guess what we'll do is we'll start off with some mindset, and then we'll come back to that and go from there. So to be a bit more specific, mindset, okay? When you join an affiliate program, any kind of coaching program, anything that requires training, okay? It's great to be excited about the opportunity. It's great to get in there and get set up or whatever it is, right? But some common mistakes that we see and prevent some of our students from succeeding versus the students that do succeed and are making money doing this is selective hearing, selective studying and work, selective efforts in daily outreach. And what I mean by that is you come in, you skim through a video, you watch maybe the third video in step one, you go to step two, you kind of scroll down to the bottom one, you click it, you do just enough to get set up the way you think you should be set up, and then you start talking to clients. And then a client has a question, and you're not sure how to respond, so you stop, you go to the Facebook community group, and you ask the question, and you wait for the response, and then you copy it and you paste it in front of the client, or you call your team leader and try and get them on the phone so they can answer your questions, and then you go back. That is not the way you do things, right? So not properly consuming the training leads to questions that need answering, that slow you down and waste your conversations and your opportunities with clients simply because the answers were already there for you. You know, asking about products and how they work and not being able to provide information like that to your client is usually as simple as just getting your product board in front of you and taking a look at the ranges and the information, taking a look at the cold email template we sent out in the first place, helping the client understand that we're providing a quote for free within 24 business hours usually, and that's all they really need to understand. And you can get a lot further in your conversations and how and when to properly set up a call with your team leader. These are crucial steps that are skipped because of selective listening, selective consumption of training, selective mindset, selective workflow, right? And these are big issues, big obstacles for those of you that are following that path. And I promise you that path leads to nowhere, right? And so one of the most important things in starting anything new, or even going back into something you're a bit familiar with and really refining your understanding of how it works, or increasing your education, right, is dropping the ego, is not going into it like a full glass, right? Is being open to learning and listening. Because I promise you, if you do not check those boxes, you will not succeed at this, period. And there are plenty of our students who are succeeding at this. And they've got over these hurdles, and they're making money. Because they understand this, because they set the ego aside, they listened, they consumed the training, they followed the steps, they followed the procedure, and they reached a level of success. And then they learned how to scale that through properly recording data with their client list, their tracker, doing the little things, the little subtle little nuances that we talk about, following these things, listening. That is where you're going to succeed. That's how you're going to get to that next level, right? So we don't just say this stuff for the sake of saying this, you know, and some of you you're new, and so you're kind of hearing this all for the first time. So take these words seriously. But it's, if you want an expedited journey to success, if you want to start closing deals and making money and succeeding, you've got to listen to these things, because they are. It's something that sounds, when you hear it, sounds obvious, sounds like oh yeah, that's a no-brainer, duh, right? You'd be surprised. I mean, we collect a lot of data on the back end of how our students perform. This is a huge obstacle, right? And so anyway, it's important for us to home in on this topic. There are some other areas in surrounding this topic that I do want to hit. But before that, Christopher, did you want to hop in there with new construction, or you still need a bit?
I'll just do something real quick. I was trying to put together something that I'll send it over to you in a second. So just wanted to kind of go over that. I mean, if maybe when you guys are doing the email campaigns and stuff like that, you might find a lot of inquiries about new construction. Oh, I want to develop land, or I want to build, this new construction. I want to do a tear down and rehab it into something, to something bigger. The key, anytime you hear that new construction word, is experience. If the person has zero experience, it's not even a starting conversation. This is the one area in the real estate fix and flip category that's kind of an absolute. Most lenders want 3. I do have a couple of lenders that will do as little as 1, but they only lend to an experienced builder. So if you come across someone with a request about building a property or adding levels, make sure that they can show in their track record that they have got that experience ahead of time. Not that I hired a GC, or not that I'm hiring my builder has experience. Someone in that entity has to already have done and completed a new construction project in the last 3 years in order to qualify. Some other little points that I'll do a bullet point for you guys a little bit later is the minimum loan amount is $100K. Maximum loan amount on a single family property is $1 million. On a 2-unit, it's $1.5 million.
And that's for new construction, Chris? For
new construction, yes.
Okay.
So it's $1 million for one family. Multifamilies is up to $1.5 million. As far as, I'm just going to give you the one with the least, that requires the least amount of experience. The loan to cost would be 85% loan to cost at 70% of the LTV. So 85 LTC. On multi-units, it would drop down to 80, 65. So again, when you're speaking with your clients and they start talking about, oh, I want to do this or I want to do that, automatically look at your calculations. Make sure that their liquidity is right, because they're going to have 15% of the total cost of that deal in hand. In addition to, depending on their experience, they're going to need down payment, closing costs. They're going to need 10% of the rehab budget. They're going to also have to have required reserves. So depending on how much experience they have, that could be 12 months reserves, or if they had a lot of experience, it can be as low as 3 months reserves. So again, when someone's talking about doing this particular project, it's going to be cash heavy, it's experience dependent. And so if you see when they bring that information to you, make sure you're focusing on those points, so this way you know whether or not we should move the ball forward. If they don't have a if they're not a builder with experience, we're not moving any further. This is not the first time home buyer, or this is the first time investor program. It has to be a very experienced and well liquidated borrower. If people are paying attention to the marketplace, lumber prices are through the roof. So this is a very high risk for the lender. So they're only working with established entities. So that was the point I wanted to kind of make today for new construction. I'll have a little checklist or bullet points sent over to Ryan a little bit later on today. We'll post it up on Facebook.
Terrific. Thank you, Christopher. Really appreciate that. Hey, Sebastian, you're just joining us. I know Christopher just hit new construction. I believe you also had some points surrounding this topic. Gavin had mentioned. Do you want to discuss that stuff?
I mean, it wasn't really more so new construction. It
Okay.
was just more so kind of how I've been seeing and what I've been seeing with some of the students and the affiliates. And I just really want to, long story short, I just really want to bring home that there's no shortcuts. There's really no shortcuts in this business. It's a daily grind. It's a consistency, and it's consistent follow-up, and it's actually doing the work. I run into a lot of situations where a lot of brokers or loan officers or affiliates are just maybe not wanting to do what they're really supposed to. You know, you will find success in anything with consistency, determination, and really putting your best foot forward. And I just really want everybody to, if you're really doing this, put the time into it, focus, go through the steps, do what you got to do, and you're really going to succeed. There's a lot of people that want to take shortcuts, have things done for them all the time, have their hand held completely, but you got to take the initiative. It's how I learned. It's how I got to the point where I'm at, and it's that determination. And you got to follow the steps, and you will succeed. A lot of brokers are just trying to take shortcuts and thinking they're going to get rich super quick, or they're going to have their loan officer, or they're going to have their mentor, or they're going to have their team leader do everything for them. This is your business too. This is a real business. Put your best foot forward, and you're going to succeed. Don't take shortcuts in this business. Everything that people tell you, listen to it, especially if they've been doing it for a long time. I've just been seeing a lot lately where people are not putting as much work as they should or attention in what they should, and they're seeing inconsistent results. And really, that's what I just wanted to just, tell everybody. What I've been seeing lately is just really put your best foot forward when you're doing this and be consistent, and you're going to succeed, but you have to go through all the steps. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Sebastian. That's great points, and really a terrific segue into what I wanted to dive into next, which is proper mindset, and really kind of what that journey looks like from joining our program to getting to where the gold is, where the money is. And really just to touch on what Sebastian said, and it's so true, it's a daily grind. And that's not just this. It's literally anything you do in life that you want to be successful at. I always go back to ice hockey because I was a big ice hockey player. My whole family, it's what our thing was. I even lived in Canada and played semi-professional for a little while. And every morning before school, I was at the rink, puking my guts up over the side of the board. Sorry if that's a graphic image for you, but that's what it took. And I didn't even make it to the NHL. I wasn't even close. I mean, after school, I would go to practice. On Fridays, I would leave school early to travel out of state, out of country, and play. I would get back late Sunday night. I would be exhausted all day Monday morning, and it was rinse and repeat. And I didn't even make it. And that was just ice hockey. My mother, she was a dancer. She danced on Broadway and whatever else. Her mother ran a dance school. She danced every single day, non-stop. It's a grind. Anything you want to be successful at, anything, it is a daily grind. And if you can do that, if you can commit yourself to that, you will be successful. But if you fall into comfort zones, I'd rather turn on Xbox. I don't really like I don't really like LinkedIn, or Duck Soup and Sales Navigator seems a bit complicated to me. I'm just going to stick to email harvesting and doing my daily email blast, because I know that, I get that. We're just going to keep it simple, and we're just going to move forward. I don't really want to watch much training material anymore. I'm tired of that. I want to do that. You're going to fail. Period. A little bit of tough love there, but that's the reality of the situation. It's a daily grind. You have got to step up. if you want to succeed at literally anything you do. You have got to be ready to grind, right? So let's take a look at what this journey looks like, right? So initially, before you found us, right, before you joined our program, really before you start anything new, right, you're in this motivational mindset of, I need to motivate myself to make a life change. I need to adjust my way of thinking. I need to educate myself. I need to succeed, right? Whatever it is, you're hyped. You're hyped. And then you find something and you're excited and you're all about it and you're talking about it and you're thinking about it and you're excited to get started, right? And so your confidence is high because you feel like this is the thing and this is it and you're going to make it work. But work is the key word. And all of a sudden, you're doing the work. You're consuming the information. You're trying to set something up and you hit a difficult task, a hurdle, and you get frustrated. And suddenly you figure out just how strong your mindset is. You figure out just how able you are to deal with adversity. Are you going to quit? Are you going to get mad and frustrated? Are you going to choose what's easy instead of choosing what's hard because it's too hard, you don't feel like overexerting yourself? Right? These are the moments that define us in any endeavor we take on when we're trying to grow. And you will not grow if you do not step outside your box, your comfort zone, and roll your sleeves up and get a little dirty. You know, I mean, Patrick Gall says often, you can leverage the scars and scrapes and bruises that we've accumulated in our experience so that you can expedite your journey to success. And I think it's a great line. I really do, because it's true. That's exactly what we have. And so if you want to succeed, you've got, sure, we can expedite the journey for you, but you've got to be willing to take physical damage to get through the obstacle course to succeed. If you want to just kind of kick back, kick your feet up and relax, it's just, all of us know this to be true. It's a fact of life. You will not succeed with that mindset. And again, this is a duh moment, right? This is of course, that's perfectly logical. I get that. But when you're faced with adversity, when you're frustrated, when you have to choose between the easy path or the hard path, suddenly you forget these things. You don't think about that anymore. You're focused on relief from anxiety, from stress, from frustration. You want to take the easy path, right? Because, and Gerald Phillips can talk to us all about this, right? About how our brains are inherently negative. And it's what keeps us alive. It's why our brains are wired that way, to keep us alive, right? But it's the positive that you need to focus on more, because that's what's going to help you succeed. You can't listen to that negative voice in the back of your head telling you that's too hard, that's too difficult, I'm uncomfortable, it's not going to work out, whatever, because it's not actually going to help you. It's your brain's way of trying to tell you you need to survive, but we need to protect ourselves from that. You do not need to protect yourselves from that. You need to go right into the fire. And if you can do that, you will succeed. You will come out the other side, separate from the rest, as one of the ones that stand out from the pack, because you were willing to go through it. And again, that's a fact of life we all know to be true. Just look at the industry leaders. Look at the success stories of the world. Look at any motivational Netflix series you watch. The people who we all look up to, right? They scraped and clawed and went through hell and back and then again to get where they're at. How many of us are really willing to do that, right? So that's what it takes. And so you have to understand, and let's home in on the money for a second here. You have to understand, the money comes, it's not just about if you just do the work and then immediately that translates into money. That's not how it works. You need to do the work, collect the data and the experience, and adjust and home it. Now think of it as a dartboard. You're throwing darts at the board. Some of the darts are missing the board. Some of the darts are hitting the target. A few of them are hitting the bullseye or close to the bullseye. You need that data about how you're throwing, what your form looks like, what your follow through looks like, what your mindset looks like. Follow that data to help you hit that bullseye every time. And to give you a better perspective of what I'm talking about, your tracker and client list. What does your daily outreach numbers look like? Your marketing methods. How many marketing methods are you actually using? Let's look at your process under a microscope. What does that process look like? How are your connections going? Who are you talking to? Are you using your client list? Are you doing your follow-ups? When's the last time you talked about a fix and flip? When's the last time you talked about a cash advance? How did the last survey you conducted go? Where did your last deal die? How can you the next time around understand how to avoid that issue or call out that issue earlier on so it doesn't kill your deal at the end? These are the things. These are the data points that you need to collect. And through that experience, you will gather the knowledge and experience and battle scars and data needed to be able to earn money. And so collecting that data, collecting from that experience, that's when you make money. And then continuing with that process is how you get consistency. And always, above all else, being uncomfortable. I mean, look at bodybuilders, right? There's a term they use, shock the muscle. Every time you work out your body, if you do a specific workout, a specific exercise, after a while your body gets used to that exercise. You can just do 100 reps all day. It's easy. Okay? And you may feel confident that, hey, this is easy. Check me out. Nobody else can do this. You're actually doing yourself a disservice. You're not getting any more gains. You're not gaining muscle. You need to shock the muscle. You need to get uncomfortable. You need to hit a different part of that muscle. You need to do a different exercise that your body is not used to. It's the same thing with this. You need to be constantly homing in on where you're tripping up. And if you're not tripping up, put yourself in situations where you are going to trip up. Embrace the negative. Those are the building blocks of success. Embrace the adversity, the struggle. That is where you want to be all the time. So for anybody who comes in here and you're frustrated, you're struggling, there's an obstacle in your way, you got a headache, you're tired, good. That's exactly what it takes to be successful. Not just in this, in anything in life. And if it's easy, if you're just kicking back, you're not going to be successful, period. Now, with that being said, if you can follow what I'm saying here, and you can work hard at these things, and you can collect that experience and that data and consistently working at it and getting better and stronger, one day you will kick back with your feet on your desk, and it's sooner than you think. Being able to do things and say things and understand things that people just look at you with their jaw on the floor. They don't understand how it's so easy for you. And all of a sudden one day you just wake up and it's there. And it's because of all that work you did. Right? I mean, the stuff I talk about, Gavin talks about, Christopher talks about, Sebastian, Gerald, David, and so on. Right? This knowledge has been accumulated over time. There's a reason we can just riff about this stuff. We can just kind of go off and talk about it. It's because we've done it so many times over, we could do it in our sleep. Right? I go back to the hockey thing. It was the same thing with hockey. I can skate, stick handle, shoot, whatever. In my sleep, I don't even have to think about it because I just did it so many times. That's what you need to go through. You need to go through that experience to a point to where it's just instinct, reaction. And you will succeed. And you will be comfortable. And you will be making money. And you will separate yourself from the pack. And so when a client talks to you on the phone, they're going to be like, whoa. That's who I want to do business with. And everybody else who's struggling to compete for that client's business doesn't have a shot in hell, not a chance in hell of beating you for that client because you're on another level. But are you willing to go through hell and back to get to that level? Extremely, extremely important stuff. Something that's overlooked. Something that we all charge ourselves up and motivate ourselves to get to that level early on, but quickly forget about once we're faced with adversity. It's just the truth, and nobody's above it. Certainly not me. I literally have to put this stuff up on my wall around me to remind myself because I get frustrated. But you've got to be able to pull yourself out of that mindset. Mindset, mindset, mindset. Gerald Phillips, can you elaborate here on this stuff? Yeah, Gerald, your microphone might be muted there. Okay, Gerald might have stepped away. Leadership team, anything to add to that?
Oh, I just got it right.
Oh, there we go.
See, guys, I mean, just something simple as trying to figure out where a button is on a phone. It's not something I do every day, but you put me in a situation where it's high stress and it's things that I'm used to dealing with. I excel at that. The reason I do is because I put in all those reps, all that time to prepare myself for those moments. When you get on the phone with a client, if you're not practicing what you're saying, all you're doing is essentially reading. What you want to do is you want to set yourself up to where everything sounds natural. At the end of the day, you want everything to just flow. It's just like Ryan said with hockey. He played it so much that he could do it in his sleep. He could do it blindfolded. And it's, the best example of consistency of any major sports star that I can give you is Cal Ripken Jr., the Iron Man. A lot of people don't know this about him, but he changed his batting stance at least 15 times throughout his career just to get a little better. He was always cognizant of changes that he could make and never fall into that trap of complacency. He was always looking for ways to improve, which is what we want. Everybody here wants to look for ways to improve. That's why you came here. We're all, like I said in my post, we all have the same burning desire for better. But why aren't we listening to that little voice in us that is saying, why did you settle for this? It's very, very easy just to settle. There's other programs out there that'll give you, the basics just like we have, but they don't give you everything. And then you settle for that, knowing that there's better out there. Put yourself in the situation of, what can I do to improve? What do I have to do to improve? And if you can't for the life of you think of something, then you better talk to somebody that knows you pretty well. And they'll tell you. Be honest with yourself. Don't fall into the trap of complacency. We all do it. I'm sure that Ryan and Gavin and Sebastian and Christopher at some point found themselves saying, why did I do that? It was generally because they were complacent. But they recognized it, they fixed it, and they moved on, which is why they're in the positions that they're in now. Don't let your own thoughts derail what you've got going on. Our brain is just, it's an amazing thing. I've heard people say you can't fight mindset with the mind. I call bullshit on that. The reason I call bullshit on it is, how else are you going to fight it? You have to take control. We're all running on a preset of programs that we don't even know exist because we hadn't taken the time to get to know ourselves. That's what it boils down to. If you know who you are, you know how to change. You know how to pick it up and say, all right, I can make this happen. This is what I have to do. And when it comes to the little things, that's where the true value is being able to keep track of all of the little things. When I get on the phone with a lot of you, I hear that hesitant excitement. And the reason I call it hesitant excitement is you're excited, but you're You have a hesitance in your voice that lets me know that you're not 100% sure. That's not good. You have to be confident in you. You have to be confident in your ability. If you can't do something, learn how to do it. Push yourself. There's so many ways that you can learn how to do things nowadays. It's not even funny. You don't necessarily have to pay for a mentorship. You can find videos. Hell, you got access to some of the best salesmen in the business with this group. Listen to them. Listen to what they're saying. There's little nuances to what they say, how they say it, what brings up what subject, how to pivot from that subject, how to keep people on task. It's very easy if you just listen. And that's where we all fall into the trap of, I'm going to figure this out on my own. Well, nobody ever figures anything out on their own because there's always groundwork laid ahead of time, which is what's happening here. Groundwork's been laid. You just have to plug in and ask the questions. Period.
Gerald,
That resonate with anybody?
If I can make a point to that, from a lot of the students and affiliates that I talk to, a lot of people stay quiet. They don't say anything. They don't ask enough questions. When I remember when I first started, man, I probably was annoying, but I asked those questions because I wanted to become an expert just like Ryan. I wanted to become an expert just like Gavin. I wanted to know what the hell I'm talking about. And I figured out how to do things, whether it was from them, my own, through different avenues. But you got to take the initiative, ask the questions. If you don't understand something, you got to say it. You have to open your mouth, because otherwise nobody could read your mind. And I remember I used to tell my ex-girlfriend this all the time. I'm like, listen, I can't read your mind. I have no idea what you want. You have to tell me. You have to talk to me. It's like, what do you want? How do you feel? Like, you have to have an open line of communication, because it's a relationship at the end of the day. And if there's something you don't understand, if there's something you need help with, say it. Email it, text it, write it. What do you need help with? We're here, but you have to communicate. That's really a big thing too, because I find over the past few months there's just silence, and when there's silence, then there's nothing, and then you fade in the distance like it never existed. You have to be interactive, and you have to open up, and you have to get comfortable with that too. It's really getting out of your comfort zone at the same time. Just like Ryan was saying, you have to be uncomfortable. I'm always uncomfortable, but it's how do I come out from it? How do I, even if I fail, I learned, and I'm gonna get better now. I'd rather fail a million times than then I'm amazing the millionth of one time. Then you really know how to fail, how to not, how to succeed, whatever. But open that line of communication too. If you guys need help with something, email it, text it, write it, chat on the phone, whatever. These phone calls every week, let us know. We can't read your minds either too. So I wanted to say that.
Great points there, Sebastian. Thank you. Patrick, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I'm joining late, so I'm catching up, but it sounds to me like you've got a couple of topics going on here, and that's people reaching out and asking questions. And it sounded like Jerry was alluding to like using scripts as far as part of your presentations. Yes, am I on track here?
It was more surrounding mindset, the willingness to actually take on the workload, collecting data, stepping outside of your comfort zone, more that direction.
Gotcha. Well, Sebastian's hit every point on the head. It made me think of the calls that I've had with each and every one of the people that are on this call today. Okay, you guys think about that day when you and I first met, and all the questions that you asked me. I mean, every one of you drilled me in your own little way. As part of your due diligence, you got to continue approaching this business in that exact same fervor, And you do that, and you'll get to where you want to go, and you'll get there quick.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so we talk about getting uncomfortable, everybody. I mean, it's uncomfortable to raise your hand and ask a question in front of a group of people. Maybe not wanting to say something that may sound foolish or simple or easy or whatever. That in itself is an obstacle, you know? Don't let that stand in the way of you getting the answer that you need. Because if you do, you're that much further from your goal. You know, you've got to put, you know, when I jump into a program, I mean, there's a few affiliate programs that we're in, educating ourselves in other areas of our business to expand our business and how we operate it and how we reach out and bring in more people. You got to hear me. I am running my mouth in these coaching conversations, in these clinics, in these whatever, because I want every penny's worth of the education, every bit. And if I'm wrong, throw it right in my face. Show me how I'm wrong. Teach me. Because I know that's what it takes to succeed. And so you guys, this is what we're saying to you. If you bought into this program, if you want to succeed, you've got to be on that level. If you want to get through, if you want to get to where the money is, you've got to be on that level. You've got to be hungry. You know? And it's really just that simple. I mean, I don't think we really need to elaborate there. We hit this topic hard for a good 20 minutes, you know? So a bit of a kick in the butt for everybody. David, did you have something you wanted to add? I saw you uncue your mic before.
Yeah, I just kind of want to hit everybody with a little bit of reality. I mean, really, when you look at it, when you come down to it, and this is with anything with life, you're either growing or you're dying. There's no homeostasis. There's no just getting by. It's either you're growing or you're dying. Because even at a homeostasis, you're not going to live forever. You're going to stay the same way, but you're deteriorating. Your life is deteriorating. Basically your personality is deteriorating. But if you're just going to sit there, if you're just going to do the bare minimum, that's not good enough. That's not going to cut it. That's not going to do anything. If you're doing the bare minimum, you're not doing anything. So, I mean, really, in reality, when you look at it, you're either growing or you're dying. So, I mean, if you want to sit there and die, if you want to do the bare minimum, because the bar's raising all the time. Bar's raising everywhere around us. Just look at, inflation and look at, just the cost of living, stuff like that. Things go up. It's because people are growing. And if you don't keep up with that, you're going to end up dying. You're going to end up just doing nothing. So, I mean, just to hit everybody with a little bit of reality, you're either going to do better or you're going to end up failing.
It's true. Well said, David. Well said. Yes, Pete, I see you raise your hand.
Sorry, Ryan, I pressed it accidentally.
Oh, no,
I was
that's
pressing
okay.
buttons. Me and technology, shouldn't be allowed together. Sorry.
All good. No worries. No worries.
Shame on you, Pete. Just kidding.
So, anyway, any questions? Any questions surrounding these topics today? Anything that we can help you with in this area?
Crickets.
So everybody is perfect?
Remember
That's weird.
Get your money's worth. Get your money's worth. Right?
The only stupid question is the unasked question.
I love that quote.
It's the truth. Who needs help? Who's having difficulty? Here's your chance.
Here's the bottom line, folks.
James,
if you don't
excuse
have
me.
5 deals in the pipeline, you need help.
James, I'm sorry. Go ahead, James. Your microphone looks like your microphone's muted there, James. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I was trying to figure it out.
No worries.
Yeah. Well, this is not really related to this topic, but I have a question about a couple of clients asking about if they can do an application and keep it in, because sometimes they are bidding on houses, but they keep getting beat out because they can't get the funding as fast as they would. So, do you recommend that, someone does an application? I know, we have to have an address in order to provide a code, but what do you suggest in situations like that?
This is what I would recommend. This is what I would say. Go back to your intake form, the one that we made for you guys a couple weeks ago. Do one for every client. Do one on your own even before you even put in the application, because maybe they don't have a property yet, but at least get their name, entity info, see what their kind of liquidity is. Do a little intake with them. See if they even come close to qualifying for any program. And then finally, when they have a property and you talk to, little Susie, oh, she's got a property? Cool. Then you could even put in the application for them because you already got the property.
Right.
So take notes on all your clients, and even if they don't have a property, but do a little profile for them. Get all their basic info, see how much cash they have, see what their liquidity is. Just get to know them a little bit, see if they've done other properties, maybe get a track record from them. Which is always a good start, because at least this way it'll help you qualify them. And even when you talk with them on the phone, you don't have to send them a formal, let's say, application or document. You could be like, all right, Susie, well, how many fix and flips you done? Oh, okay, you did 5. Cool. You have an entity. Well, what's the name of your company? Well, hey, we always want to make sure that our borrowers have enough cash in their account. What's your liquidity look like? Just have a conversation with them. You could almost do an intake form or profile for them without actually sending them a document or a link. That's what I would do, and I do that with everybody. I qualify them over the phone without them even having to send them anything.
Makes sense.
Take it one step further, man. Sebastian hit right. I mean, Sebastian's he's on point right there, man. James, good to see you, by the way. But then take it one step further. Once that person does end up getting the property, and you're able to put something together, start moving them towards the exposure lines, so that now they're pre-qualified for future properties out there, and they're essentially a cash buyer for any future deals they want to make.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
You got it. Also, James, any client who's talking about pace, being able to win out on a bid, right, whatever, you leverage that. Say, well, the quicker you are, the more forthcoming you are with the information that I need to get you the funding you need, the sooner you're putting yourself in a position to succeed there. Right? So one of the worst things you could do is bid on a property, but you don't have your funding in place, you don't have your guy in place, you don't know if you're going to be approved, if you qualify, or any of these things. Man, oh man, are you going to be in trouble. But if you work with me, you get me everything I need, you answer the questions I need, we can find out right away. So you're ready to go. And the second you get that property, bang, we're in business. And it's a way of sort of getting what you want from that client. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Very good. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
You got it. Absolutely, James. So any other questions here? I do want to end I do want to go back to new construction in a moment. But any other questions here?
I just want to come in on what everybody was just talking about. Guys, everybody I talked to, I kept a file on. It's a separate file. The reason I did that is whenever, like Sebastian was talking about, I went on ahead and got all the information, got it ready to go, and then whenever they would call back, I've got everything to reference back. I called it their case file. I mean, that's just what I call it. I mean, this is because of my background, but it was just the information that I collected, and I still have all of that. And I have folks that call me all the time, and right now what's happening is a lot of people are being beat out because they don't have funding in place. Teach them how to get themselves in front of a seller ready to go. That's what you're doing. Just teach them how to do it.
Absolutely. Okay, so I want to get a quick screen share. Christopher, I received your email. Do you want to just walk us through it real quick? I'll share it on my screen. Christopher Van Buren, you there?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead.
All right, cool. All right. There you go. You should be able to see it.
Yep.
All right.
So here's just kind of a quick little recap, little overview. So when, again, you are getting conversations or people are emailing you about, different products or programs, now you kind of have your arm with more ammunition to kind of answer those questions, to kind of pre-vet them before you get into long, lengthy conversation. So as a recap, we see that the minimum loan amount is $100K. Maximum loan amount for single-family properties is $1 million. So our loan terms can run from 12 to 18 months in regard to how long the loan has to be repaid. Like I said, the LTC is 85% or 70% of the LTV. So loans will be based off of that. Now, when we went to loan level requirements, as you see, down payment, closing costs, 10% of the rehab budget, any equity shortage, plus the required reserves. So understand, as I said, if this is their first or second deal, the bank wants them to have 12 months interest reserve in the bank. They want to know that they can handle this mortgage payment no matter what. As they have more experience, those reserve requirements drop down. So if they had 3 to 4 projects, then they only need to have 6 months worth of liquidity after the deal closes. And finally, if we had 5 or more, then you're going down to 3. So again, it's the same scenario. You are rewarded for your experience. The more experience you have, the better, the more flexible the terms get. So when you're speaking with someone's brand new, it's the first one, like, oh, you could be definitive in expressing, like, no, this is what is required to get into this level, to get to do those type of projects. You need to bring this to the table. And then here's some other bullet notes as far as how soon the construction has to begin. It usually has to begin within 120 days of the closing. They already have to have a tax ID number for it already. It should already have its utilities set up within the property, vacant lots ready for vertical construction. So these are some of the things that you just want to kind of keep in mind of when you're speaking with someone, that they have their ducks in a row, that they've gone far enough, that they've owned the property, that it's already been zoned, that it's ready to be built. You're going to get, that's the standard. And so when you are hearing or getting these inquiries, this could be your go-to kind of cheat sheet to kind of find out whether or not these people have the capacity to go forward with that project. And if not, letting them know, look, you don't have the capacity and this is why, and then circling back to them and seeing if they can later on add that experience to their entity.
Absolutely. Okay, Chris, that hits the whole sheet?
Yep.
All right, terrific. Thank you very much for putting that together, Christopher. I'm going to go ahead and add this to the training. I think what I'll do is maybe I'll drop it on the product board near new construction so that everybody can just open it up as a one sheet. Okay, stop presenting. I heard somebody ask a question or send a message. No, okay. All right, everybody. That is going to do it for this week's coaching call. It is, if you have a question, now's the time to ask. Otherwise, we are gonna wrap up. Oh, excuse me. I see. I apologize. Charlie Messer, do you have a question?
Hello?
Hi, Charlie.
No, once I get over the technological hurdles. Real quick, Christopher, you mentioned that they should own the land. Is that just for construction costs, that loan program?
It's better if they own the land. The stronger the profile will be is if they own the land, and I can use the value of the land to offset their total cost. Example, we can do a project where they're buying the land and doing the construction. So again, it's just, there's benefits to having one over the other, and until you ask the question to find out what the deal looks like, it's just that's how I'll know how to affect what the pricing is going to be. So it's not a absolute that they have to own the land. It's just, it works out better because now we're able to give them that credit for spending $50,000, $70,000, $100,000 on that lot, and that offsets our building costs when we're setting up the construction portion of the loan.
Got it. Thank you.
Got it. All right. Terrific. Terrific. Okay, everybody. Mark Urena. Excuse me. Mark, you have a question?
Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. I was on the construction loans, Chris. For the liquidity part, what is the 10% holdback? What is that?
It's the cost of the construction. So the cost of the construction is $250,000. They have to have the first 10% before the bank's going to release any funds. So they need $25,000 of the construction budget, cash on hand. They need 12 months worth of interest reserves. They're going to need their down payment. They're going to need their closing costs.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the client's got to be able to get started with like the rehab or the construction. They've got to be able to get started, and then they'll submit it to the lender. Lender sends out an inspector, and when the work is done, that's when the lender will pay for it. They won't necessarily give you a check unless you go crazy with it.
Okay. Yep. Thank you for that. Appreciate the information. I had another quick question, if anybody minds.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I've been having conversations with people, and the conversations are leading to them asking for gap funding. What part of the products that we have covers that? For example, somebody's in the middle of a rehab and they need to cover some more costs to finish the rehab, and they're asking for gap funding. Do we have something like that? And what products would that be on the board?
Pass. And that would be funny. But it's a pass.
Okay. Okay.
Understand, it's almost like the MCA. I went to a lender, I borrowed money, I was supposed to do a task with that money. And now all of a sudden, I'm short on that task, and now I need more money to finish the task. The secondary lender is not in a strong position. So it becomes back to liquidity. So we don't want to give another lender someone else's trash.
Okay.
Is the easiest thing.
I kind of figured that was where it was, but I just wanted to make sure I was having the right conversations. And that's kind of the conversations I was having. Like, well, if you don't have enough money going here, it's going to be hard for me to find something to help you out that way. But I just wanted to make sure I wasn't over speaking.
No, not at all. It comes up often. Everybody's going to encounter that. So no worries, Mark. And the way you can look at it is, if Christopher lent me money and I've not yet paid Christopher back the money, and on top of that, I'm saying I need more money to get this done, do you really want to lend me money also when I haven't even paid Christopher back yet or made an ROI? You know what I mean? It's just not, like Christopher said, it's not a good position for the lender to be in. And so, yeah, absolutely, something to kind of steer away from. So that's a great question, and that's a solid topic, and it can really help all of you understand, what you want to avoid. And this is what I'm talking about when I say acquire knowledge, over time and experience in order to make money, because it's little things like this that can trip you up. And you've got to figure out the answer and then move on. And there's other little nuances. You've got to go through that learning process to get to a point to where you can figure this stuff out. And it helps you get that much closer to the money, but you can't skip the process, right? And it all ties into what today's topics have hit. So anyway, good questions there, Mark. Dave DeVito. Go ahead, Dave.
Hey, Ryan. Hey, Mark, just to add on that, one of the solutions that I'll come up with is, not gap funding, but JV is a very common practice in real estate investing. And, if someone's got a great deal, they've got, enough credentials to kind of get maybe a little bit going, find a partner, on that one. And the way to get around having to have a second lien and gap funding is just put them on the entity. So if someone needs 20, 30 grand, go and have them give up some of the equity. It's better to take down 75% of the deal instead of 0% of the deal.
Absolutely. Now that's good advice for the client, but not something you're going to make money on, right? So that ultimately it's the investor's problem, not ours, because there's no monetary result for us there, but it is a way of helping guide that investor through to find a solution.
Right, wouldn't it? It would help us instead of not getting a deal done from our lender.
That's true. Absolutely.
that's why I try to kind of impart that in my strategy.
That's a great point. That's a great point. So it's not necessarily a product; it does help get the deal done. So that's a great point, Dave.
Yep.
Absolutely. All right. Terrific. Okay, everybody. Dave, Lewis, looks like your hand is raised. Do you have something you want to add there, or is it just a misclick?
If I raise my hand, I did not mean it.
Okay, no worries, no worries. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for this week's call. I will post a recording in the Facebook group later. Please take what we said today very seriously and apply it to your workflow and your skill set. It is extremely, extremely important that we light a fire under our butts and we work extremely hard at this or anything else we take on in life. And if we do that, we will succeed. If we do not, we will fail. It's inevitable. All right, so get to work, everybody. We'll catch you soon. Thanks.
See you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.